You should remember that concept. Okay. I think this was a pretty cool game. Hold on, give me a second. Okay. So we're gonna um we're gonna analyze. So Sicilian, um, and he, well, I'm not even going to attempt that one. But I play Sicilian Dragon, or Accelerated Dragon to be exact, right? Um, and first concept that bugged me about this game was horrible pawn structure, right? One thing you cannot, cannot do in chess, you cannot do this. You absolutely, positively cannot do this. Is, and anywho, you cannot just push pawns and like hope for the best. So you play this, and then he goes to all the way to the other side of the board and pushes this. You and the reason why this doesn't work is because do I eventually? Okay, well, for one, he played right into my accelerated dragon by pushing this B pawn, right? Because now his rook is hanging. Or actually, it's just completely trapped. Like, he completely just allowed the rook to be trapped. Now, there's been this bozo opening going around where you play this and then or I think it's actually, yes, yeah. It's this into this, and then if they're here, well, let me just for the sake of fun, right? And then they hang their rook on move two, and then they play chess. That is their little bozo opening. They call it the beginner's mistake, right? Um, so, um, but that was not what this guy played because instead of doing that, he allowed me to play into my accelerated dragon, which is what I was planning on playing. Anywho, and now he, for no reason, then pushes this queen pawn, right? Like, you can't justify pushing all of these pawns for multiple reasons. For one, in chess, um, you want to, when you're pushing your pawns, you want to make sure not only is there a structure, this is actually not terrible. This right here is not terrible. Um, this is absolutely pointless. But not only do you want to make sure it's a structure, but your pawns are meant truthfully to push towards the fighting piece. Understand that. So you see all of these right here are not the worst. Now, this is bad because your rook is hanging, but I digress. Um, but your problem is that you don't have, for one, you don't have any justification for this pawn push. Um, and also, um, pushed all of these pawns out, but none of your pieces are activated, which is absolutely most certainly why you lost your rook on move. This was move 5. Rook was lost on move 5, right? So in chess, be mindful of what pawns you're pushing, which is why you usually push one, both push one, and then right here is about when you're like, okay, especially when you're playing with white, you're like, okay, now I'm gonna start doing this, or well, let me play a move. I'm gonna start doing this, or even this if you really want to, or even like this, or even like this. You know, like, see what I'm saying? Like you can develop other pieces. Like that's how you want to play chess because um, you'll eventually um, can it is it gonna whatever, but you're gonna see like the mating that I create. So um, yeah, let's go back to the game. Oh well, that's probably why, but you'll you'll eventually get to this. See, pieces are activated and flying and all over the place, right? Okay, back to the game. I'm ahead of myself. So Celery Dragon, and he plays into it to the point where he lost his rook on move 5, right? And at this point, you know, trying to play around it, whatever. Now, when you're up material, this is the beauty of chess. Because look. Beauty of this game, too. I played as black. Y'all see who gets to go first. Y'all see it. Y'all know who gets to go first. So, um, like, black in this position only has advantage because rook was blundered on move 5, and the king was also opened up to where I can then give the check on c3. Give the check on c3. Now, this, I believe, yes, I believe, well, we just seen the blunder, but was a huge blunder. It was just a major blunder because you could have really played this and then this, and you know, this knight is hanging and all, but like the game can kind of go on in this variation, right? But instead, what was oh sorry, went to the last move. I know I'm all over the place in this video, but this is like I do it. This is how I do it. So I give the check. Here would have been fine. Even you know, listen, I see chess players all the time, and especially Magnus Carlsen is the best in the world to my knowledge, and he um, is a great endgame player. And what you do in the endgame is you bring your king. So if if that is a method, that can be a method. But in that, you have to understand simplification, and this is not the way to do it because this hangs your queen, right? And even if the queen's hanging, and you're down a rook too, the material advantage now that black has gives so many attacking chances that you know it's bad. And when you're with the queen, that's your checkmating piece pretty much. She pretty much is. When you have a queen, you can literally have just a queen and the king. This is why pawns are actually like big deals. And again, why um, pushing these random pawns and opening up your king this much is not good, because you want to keep these pawns around just in case now you don't have a queen. You can push and eventually promote. And the beauty about the pawns, you don't even have to promote to a queen. You could promote to a bishop, any other pieces that but the pawn is promoting, right? So for whatever reason, queen was hung. So now, from here, it's as if now black has all the agency to not only develop but to attack. And I am also up a minute and almost 2 minutes. Um, Time advantage actually might have stayed the whole game. I'm not really sure. Um, because in chess, it's better to not really pay attention to the time too much, because um, you'll more than likely just be down on time for real, for real. So, anywho, bishop here, right? This is protected. When you're thinking about candidate moves, which is like, these are very high tier concepts, but we're gonna talk about them. Even though I'm only at 220, it is what it is. Uh, and that was my move to, just further my development. But when you think about candidate moves, you have to realize, okay, he just played bishop to h3. The one thing that is being attacked in this position is just protected. It's actually really well protected. So when you're thinking of candidate moves, you have to make sure that whatever they are attacking is protected. And when it's protected by multiple pieces, it makes it to where a candidate move like this, for example, especially considering the queen is also going to continue protecting that. Um, it makes it makes it to where it's easy for real. So, and now opponent says, okay, I'm going to take your pawn, which in chess, when you're getting to the end games, which is based off of this position, is what white should try to do. You're actually fine uh with taking pawns, right? However, there's multiple kinds in chess. Material advantage definitely means something. So, that knight being hung was just not it. Let's just be honest. So, moving on. Plays here. Um, Now, again, when it comes to pushing pawns, this was not actually a bad pawn push, because you see, you're storming towards the king, right? That is a concept in chess too. Pawn storms. The reason they're actually storms is because you you you're storming towards the king. You see, it's on the pawn he pushed was on the side of the king, which again is why this H pawn push was, you know, kind of big brained, but not big brained enough when you consider you pushed all these other pawns for absolutely no reason. Um, but yeah, so this right here, only issue is this is ready to fall, and it's a check. I didn't even play that because I wanted to do that. But, you know, taking a bishop, especially considering I traded my dark square bishop, I'm not totally against taking his bishop. So that's what happens. And he walks right into another check. And I could just win this pawn, which is not what I do. I actually trade, which is fine. Because another thing is you want to simplify when you're up material. When you're up material, you simplify the position. So he's going to take the knight. Oh, wait. He didn't. Sorry. But you really should take this knight. Um, like there's nothing wrong with it. Like you don't. There's no like scary tactics. But you see the eval actually like. Oh well, no, the eval actually likes taking the knight more. So maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. I mean, but anyways, um, all jokes aside, um, now I mean, again, simplification. Um, he doesn't take my knight, so I'm like, wait, I think yes, he does take at this point after I push. But the problem with taking the knight now is that now not only am I going to take the bishop back, but I also just gave you a check. The only solace you get in this position is that you can take, and now this is something I have to consider, right? Which is not what happens. Another blunder. Um, Major blunder here for real because it's too early to walk your king into the center, especially when your pawn structure is not really favorable to it. Um, but I'll say this: I in this position I had a light square bishop. If you want, um, to kind of shut out this light square bishop, you keep your pawns on light square. So I mean, there was a benefit to doing this. Um, but these two are just major weaknesses, and that's bad because it's on the side of the fighting piece, and it just doesn't work. So, um, yeah, I take here, right, and what this does is almost invites this, but it doesn't really invite it because now I'm defending it, you know. But like I said, these pawns are on light squares, so this bishop is pretty just it's pretty bad, right? He doesn't really spot the idea because yes, this would have been better off for him to play, but instead he gets ready to checkmate himself pretty much. Um, and I'm like, sure, let me just give him a check then. This actually, they actually don't like this. I probably missed the actual like mating net, but I digress. Um, he walks right back into it though with this, which leads to I believe. Well, actually, no. I played it a little slow and I brought my rook. And actually, let me turn that off. Let me turn that off because I'm tired of looking at that. Honestly, I don't. Ugh. Anywho, he finally does that, which is what I was really waiting on. Because now this can happen, and there is no taking because I brought my rook. But he takes there. But again, I have this. which will lead to this rook hanging very soon. But anyways, let's talk more about this structure, which now is not bad, but let's not forget the only other piece that white had is literally not doing anything. The man's lost his rook and moved the knight here, and the knight literally did not move for the rest of the game. I promise you, you can go back and watch. Literally, after I take on A1, that's funny. I take on A1 and that's hilarious. Some people are not gonna get it, but whatever. I take on A1. He plays knight A3, and the knight is stuck. The knight didn't move, and then it could have moved. It was moves probably. But knight just didn't move. So you know, moving on. Now getting real aggressive, right? Because rook's under attack. This pawn got to take, and now I can do this, or not this. I can do like this right here. It gets real scary because this is going to fall soon, and you see where the king is. That's why these pawns are powerful, because for one, this pawn, if we ever were to get into the endgame, you're not stopping this pawn. You're not. You're not stopping this pawn. Probably not even stopping this one. Or you can probably here, but if you do, then you're definitely not stopping this one. And then you gotta worry about these two anyway, right? End games are very hard because pawn counts matter. They just do. So if I'm up, how many pawns was I up? I'm up 2 pawns in this position. At the end of it, and you have to defend perfectly. There's just going to be 2 pawns that are going to promote. Like just simple as that. So, but we don't make it there because it's checkmate soon. So this was just a complete miss. I'm not really sure what the best move is. Again, this was a very very bad opening by my opponent. Um, so now we have a check here, and it's defended by the rook, and this rook is about to hang soon because the king has to move, and boom, and I just took with check, so it's just all bad. And now this is the mating net, and when you're in this kind of position and you kind of know your opponent is just done, just make sure it's only one legal move. Just make sure it's only one legal move for the king, and you will deliver mate. It's just that simple. So here, believe. Yep, that's a mate. I didn't play this, I don't believe. Or did I? Yeah, this was the mate. Yeah, this is the mate I gave. Um, and it's just simple as that. You just have to make sure the king only has one legal move. And if we go back, we can see here, right? Can't move there. Can't move there. Can't move there. Those are the only candidate, quote unquote. I'm doing quotes. You can't see that I'm doing the quotes, but those are only candidate moves for the king. But it can't make no other move other than check. Now, all of these, and the worst part about being in mainnet, none of these moves are doing anything, right? And it's bad because you're in this net because now you're just pretty much waiting on the king to on these pieces to kill you pretty much. We're being like um, positionally aware of how chess works. Um, that is you're just waiting. Like all it like the king. This move right here is really just a waiting move. Like this guy, if I could speak for him, which I really would not want to do, it's probably just saying just get it over it type shit. You know what I mean? Because it's it's nothing. There's nothing the king can do, and none of these pieces are involved anymore. So yeah, king moves right there, and I deliver mate right there. Beauty of this mate: queen is on the file, rook is on this file. Um, but this rook is not on this file yet, but the rook is on this file. This rank is covered. Oh, sorry. This rank is covered. But the defense here is on the diagonal. So not only can the king not do this, because like I said, the file's covered. See? Can't do that because the file's covered. But even if it wanted to try to move to to the diagonal by taking, it couldn't do it. But yeah. Oh wait, I'm sorry. This was not the mate. I apologize. The king did go back because that was the legal move. Sorry. This was his only legal move. This was the mate. I forgot that I had to take this pawn first. So yeah, that's what I did. I made sure you just make sure your pieces are defended when you're giving checks. That's just that simple. So yeah. If you didn't learn anything, take away these three things. Number one, don't make random pawn pushes. Okay? And I know these are random pawn pushes because this is not defended by nothing. This is not defended by nothing. Until you do this, right? But if I wanted to, I would have just attacked this. But the problem with these pushes is not only do you play into the accelerated dragon, you then play into my accelerated dragon with these pawn pushes by playing a pawn push on the entirely opposite side of the board. You never consider a pawn push. This is one thing I need people to learn. Never consider a pawn push on the opposite side of the board unless the king has already castled over there or if the king is on that side, right? Or you know what I mean? So it's just that simple. So don't hang your rook within the first 5 moves. Number 3. I mean number 3. Get more pieces involved. Get more pieces involved. This is the opening. in the opening, the max number of pawns you should try to like really push and commit is like two. Like that's just like play these two pawns in the center if you're white, or you can do something like these two is fine too, but there's no reason to be committing 5 pawns to the center and not a single piece. None of the pieces in look every other piece. You cannot make this up. It's on the home square. Like seriously, like get out of here.